better jobs out there. So
is Kansas a job where you can, in a 5-year period, go to 4 bowl games?
Yeah, if Kentucky has done it, yes.
Okay, that's fair.
At least in the past they were able to do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, they've done it. You're right. They have done it.
I don't know if Iowa State, although, if Iowa State could do, but Iowa State hadn't been going 4 out of 5 years. It'd be really difficult. I'd probably at this point no. If they got to upgrade their facilities really big.
Well, and they're doing it.
They're doing it. So
that's really good. And you know what's great when you talk to when you talk to recruits, Al, and you tell them that they're going to do. You show them. I remember when I came to OSU and Gary Ward and Tom Holliday took me in their office, which by the way was in Gallagher-Iba, just this horrible office, and they showed me, Al, the rendition, of the new stadium. It was Allie P. Reynolds. And they showed me a little, it was like a model of it, it was like built. And I thought, man, this looks really cool. Well, that's what Kansas is going to have to do, right? They're going to have to do rendition of what they're going to build, and they got to tell the recruits that.
Now, if he leaves, then that program is set back.
It is, but at least it's a little better,
it's
right?
Better. It's a better job for somebody.
It's a little better.
It's a little better job for somebody.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you take would a just throwing a name out there, but would an offensive coordinator, Graham Harrell, or Levy, is it that good of a job? I don't know. If you're at a big school and you're a coordinator, I don't know if you take Kansas.
Yeah, I don't know if you take Kansas either. And the thing, the Big 12 is a tough league.
It is right now. It looks really good.
By the way, they got the contract with them.
That's right. And I'm sure they're not very happy.
So, and for OU, I know the fans want it. OU needs to wait till 2025 to get into that league, what's going on right now.
Well, you like I said, I openly admit that I've been dead wrong on that. I thought they should be going next year, but with the way they're playing right now, you've been right on the money on that. They should wait as long as they possibly can. I totally agree. You're on the money about it.
Yeah, they got Brent Venables got to get his type of players and see. What's interesting, think about this with Brent. Here's a guy that just prides himself in defense. Always has.
Oh, he's got to be disgusted.
This is one of the worst defenses in the country. Right now.
Got to be thoroughly disgusted. Thoroughly disgusted.
So it'll be interesting to see.
So Blaine texted us real quick and he asked us, would Matt Rule go to Kansas?
No.
That's an easy
no,
right?
No.
Yeah.
My guess, I would think Matt. Okay, what jobs we got? We got Wisconsin, Nebraska, Georgia Tech, Colorado,
Arizona State,
and Auburn's going to open.
Right, and then maybe Kansas.
And
there's not a great job in that, but there's some decent jobs. I got to tell you. I just think that people that think that Arizona State is a really good job, you know what? It's a great place to live. It's a wonderful area, but it's not a good job, Al. They don't care about it out there. Literally, it is so far down. I used to do a radio show out there. When I did it, Al, no one wanted to talk about Arizona State football.
Well, the last time I went to the Rose Bowl, the quarterback was
Plummer, right?
Jake Plummer. Let someone go to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I know. That's forever ago. Matter of fact, I think he was playing quarterback when I was there. So, yeah, long time ago. All right, well, we got a big show for you, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of great people going to be coming on. This is Countdown to Kickoff Bud Light Game Time, live from historic Campus Corner. We are in the RV General Store Sports Animal Mobile Studio, all driven by Eskridge Lexus. And, boy, we got some beautiful Lexuses right over here next to us. If you want to come see them, we'd love to see you. Coming up, a lot more on the Animal. Don't go away.
Queen pillow top mattress and box springs starting at $299. Nice king pillow top mattress and box springs starting at $439. And twin sets for only $129. Our selection is great and our delivery is fast. Come see me, Paul Wyndham at the Mattress Place, located between Penn and Western on Southwest 59th Street. That's right, buy your groceries in your neighborhood, but buy your mattresses at the Mattress Place, 1330.
Who's going to be the spark of the game today, Mark?
Spark.
Dylan Gabriel will be the spark of the game today. I think if he comes back, and I expect him to come back, that the offense is going to be in a lot better shape, and I think that they could potentially score enough to win the game today.
Now, you, Mark, gave us great information last week. We appreciate that very much on the pregame show. That
Thank you.
Willis and do you agree with Al and myself that they should not just totally get rid of that Wildcat? I mean, just because Gabriel's in there, I would run it a couple. I'm not saying run it 6 plays in a row, but I got to tell you, with Willis as a big old boy, the way he runs, and then Farouk showed some speed, and then you got Gray. I mean, I look pretty good.
The one thing I didn't like about that is that, I do like Farouk and Willis, you know what I'm saying? But I think that's really kind of it, I mean, like, have a package, have those guys kind of specialize in it. It doesn't need to be a committee back there.
No, yeah,
you know
just
what I mean?
a couple
I kind of
plays.
like the thunder and lightning aspect of
Yeah,
it.
just
Farouk
a
with his
couple
speed
plays,
and Willis
right?
with his...
Couple plays is what I'm
no,
talking about.
I thought it was a really good wrinkle. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I thought last week, to me, I am just saying, I understand why the offense is in the position where it is with quarterbacks. So I think Jeff Levy's doing a good job. I thought that was a really good wrinkle last week. I just don't think that there was a whole lot that you could possibly do, whether it be Bevel, Evers, Booty, whoever was going to be the quarterback. I think they're going to be really,
Why'd they stop it
when
they were going down the field? Why'd they change? That didn't make
I
a
do.
lot of sense.
I can't answer that question for you. I don't know. It's a good one.
And it's a great short yardage offense to
Sure
run
it
the
is.
Wildcat.
Yeah, and Willis, obviously, I mean, he's big. What's he weigh? About 240, I think, and runs pretty good. So I
I think
don't
he's
know.
somewhat underutilized, right? I mean, if you're going to have a power running game and do some creative things with motion and stuff, and I just, they've thrown it to him a couple times this year. I think he's a tough matchup. He's got good hands, but he hasn't really been a big part of the game plan.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, you probably don't, but I said about 5 years ago that Jelani Woods was going to play in the NFL, and he is. He's playing in the NFL. He's making catches, I might add, for the Colts. I think that Willis can play in the NFL. He's not going to get drafted high. He's probably, if he gets drafted at all. But I think he's a guy with versatility, can play on special teams, could be a nice backup tight end, a guy that splits out and stuff. So I think he's going to play in the NFL, guys. I do.
It's a good time to be a tight end because a lot of teams will use more tight end sets, 2 or 3 tight end sets, which allow you to, put big blockers out there if you want to run. It's also difficult to cover those guys if they can move a little bit, and Willis falls into that category. He can move. So, yeah, I think for sure he would have a chance to play in the NFL.
If you Brent Venables, how do you fix this defense, which is horrible right now? The pass rush, they got zero pass rush. How do you fix it?
Well, here's what I think I would do. I would stop letting offenses kind of dictate what kind of defense we're going to play. I think that they need to get more people near the line of scrimmage. They need to probably take a little bit more chances on some blitz if you want to put pressure on the passer. They're not covering anybody anyway. They're bad at zone coverage. They're bad at man coverage. So I think that, if teams line up with multiple receivers and they just go with the 3-man defensive front, they're going to get blocked all day. So I think that, listen, you got to stop saying we're building for the future and we're going to try to primarily instruct our kids how to play this new defense that we've brought in this year, and you got to play to win Saturday. Because at OU, Brent Venables or whoever that's the coach, I get why people love Brent. I love Brent's passion. I love his passion for the university and all those kind of things, but you just simply cannot get beat 49-0 and go from week to week and say we're building for the future, or, oh, look, we've got a great recruiting class. That the talk of the great recruiting class is stuff that reminded me of John Blake. That was always his, kind of excuses. We're building for a great recruiting class, and then Bob Stoops comes in and works really hard and brings a lot of intellect and a lot of great coaches and turns what Blake's players, which to me were never going to have a great success under that coach, and turns them into a national championship winning team within 2 years. So it's not like you have to just take a step back and that Oklahoma is devoid of talent and all those kind of things. I think they have some talent here. I just think that they're playing out of position on defense right now.
I will say this, though. All three of us at a point in our career covered recruiting, and we all know that it is such an inexact science. But Al always brings up that these dudes, they're getting recruited by Alabama and Texas and A&M, and when OU gets them for some reason, they don't turn out to be as good as everybody thought they would be. I don't understand that.
Well, some guys do. I mean, I did, again, like I said, I think they've got some good players on that side of the ball. But at other places, it turns out that way too. There are guys that go that are highly recruited and that don't pan out. But if you look at, say, why are they a certain way at Alabama? Well, that's because I think they've got the best coach in the history of college football working these guys through a process, and he takes what could be potentially great high school talent and turns it into great talent. So there are a lot of things that could go wrong with that on defense. But like I said right now, I think they're playing with undersized guys up front. I think they're playing with a middle linebacker that is pretty slow, that plays pretty high at times, and some of the other young players in that position there are having a hard time.
Mark, I think you're right on with the undersized. Grimes and Ethan Downs are not three technique guys, in my opinion.
I don't think so either, Al. I mean, I think Downs is a great kid, and I watched him play a lot in high school. And at Weatherford, they play him at tight end, they play him at fullback, and they move him around on all different areas of the defense. And he's a little bit of a tweener type athlete, but I don't think he's an edge player in a 3-3 formation to go up against offensive tackles right now. So might be able to play outside the tackle, but inside, I just think that's kind of being unfair to him. And I would think as much as Brent has been around the game and knows defense, that his philosophy would be different, that, hey, I am going to fit the scheme to my players rather than fit my players to my scheme. Because that can get you in trouble. And it might be right now.
So let's talk about some other games, Marcus. I love Alabama. I heard you love Alabama. I just think that I think Bryce Young's playing. I really do. And then I look at when Alabama doesn't play well, everybody thinks, oh, they're going down. Now, I at the beginning of the year, I told everybody that they might have their best team ever. Well, it doesn't look that way, so I think we're wrong on that. But as Al points out, they're just they win games when they're close. They win when people think, oh, maybe they're not going to win. But I think this is a game they go in and play well, Mark.
Yeah, I think you have to say that Alabama really relishes a challenge. I don't know that they feel like that they're challenged every week as good as they are. This will be certainly a challenge to go on the road to Tennessee. The stadium will be full. They've had a lot of success in this series, and like we look for these games too all the time. That the team that's got the most tickets bet on it in Vegas this week is Tennessee, but the line is moving the other way. So it just tells me that the public is in love with Tennessee, and maybe some of that part of the reason it is people want to see Alabama lose, right? Oh, if you're just going to go bet some recreational money on it, I'm going to put 20 on Tennessee because I want to root for them to win, and it'd be great to see an upset. Yeah. But I think that the better play in this is that Alabama, just across the board, has better players than Tennessee, and they've faced a pretty tough schedule this year so far, Alabama has, and so I think that this is a really good spot for them to bounce back.
What's interesting as they think about, you going to the SEC. SEC's a lot better now than it was 4 or 5 years ago. Look at the rise of Georgia. Tennessee's back where it was under Fulmer, it looks like. The Mississippi schools are unbelievable right now. Yeah. Arkansas is better.
Oh, listen, we talk about how good the Big 12 is, Mark, but the SEC West is about as good as it's ever been, I think.
That's fair, but also LSU just won a national championship in 2019 and is not very good. Auburn has won a national championship in the last few years. They're not very good. So it's all cyclical, is that if a couple teams come up, a couple
break when you're ready,
go down. And if you look at some SEC schedules this year that have South Carolina on it and Vanderbilt on it, Florida is also another team that's perennially good that's not as good this year. I'm not sure that an SEC schedule in 2022 wouldn't be more manageable than what you see in the Big 12 because there's no easy games.
I know, you're right, but I
there's
still
no Vanderbilt.
The East, I agree with you, but I think the West, man, I don't know, man. Like Al brought up
the East and West is going away when Oklahoma gets there.
Right.
So
do you like that? Al and I can't stand all this stuff about no divisions. I guess the Big 12 is going to do it now. Do you like that?
Yeah, I think you have to like no divisions. What I really do like is the schedule that rotates, because I think if you designate a pod or 3 rivals and then you get to see the rest of the conference come in every 4 years, that's pretty cool. Whereas some schools like Alabama and Georgia just don't meet very often. I think Mississippi and Georgia, another 2 schools that just don't ever play in the SEC, and so that gives you some schedule flexibility there. And then again, in the Big Ten this year, if you have A beats B, B beats C transit property type situation with Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State, you're going to tell me then one of those teams goes to the championship game and plays Nebraska for the championship? That's no good.
Slow down on Nebraska. They're not going.
I just had to give you a team, and all I'm telling you right now is Nebraska's tied for first.
Well, yeah,
they're tied for first in the West.
I think Minnesota's better than them. I'm going to ask both
I
you
think
guys.
a lot of people are better than them, but I was just making a point.
Right. Let me ask both of you guys. I'll start with you, Al. What do you think about everybody? I hear everybody, they can't stand Jim Harbaugh. They're all hoping that they lose. But last year they go to the Final Four, Al, and they're undefeated. They look good. This quarterback is good that they're playing.
Yeah, but who have they beaten?
Yeah, I'm with Al there. They played the worst schedule leading up to this game today than anybody in the country. I think Penn State is pretty good. I think Penn State's going to give them fits today. But if they can win this game, then the schedule doesn't matter. I think Penn State's got a good shot to win the game today. Yeah, I do.
Hey, I'll tell you what, it's hard to win in the big house now. It's hard to go up there and win, especially when they're good. And by the way, I told Al,
it's hard to win if you're Hawaii.
Hey,
I mean,
you're
just
right.
like this
they had
schedule.
a terrible schedule. I'm not going to disagree. I was telling Al that I saw like Pro Football Focus, one of those things. They ranked the top 10 quarterbacks in the country. Can you figure out who do you think the top 5 were, Mark?
Well, if it's just based, are you just talking about based on statistics this year?
Just on who's the best quarterback, not like for the draft or anything.
Numbers from this year is what you're saying.
No, because then Rodgers would be number 1. No, it's not numbers. It's who they think the best quarterbacks are.
Okay, well, I just Pro Football Focus uses all those analytics to great things. Okay, I mean, I'm going to say Max Duggan is in the list.
No,
let's say Spencer Sanders.
No, neither one of them. Neither one of them.
They're not in there?
Top 5.
Okay.
Top 5 in the country.
Okay, I got no idea.
Bryce Young is 1.
Okay.
Caleb Williams 2. Stroud 3. The young kid from Michigan is 4, believe it or not.
Right.
And then number 5 is Ewers. Those are their top 5.
Okay, I can see that. And you're probably just talking about what their draft.
Well, but Caleb Williams
is.
and Ewers can't go yet. But maybe they're talking because it's Pro Football Focus. But,
okay, that makes more sense.
But this young kid from Michigan, man, I mean, he takes over for the other guy. He's good. He's a good player, man.
That was a weird way for Harbaugh, I think, to instead of just naming him the starter, which would have been the easy way to do it, decide to kind of let him work his way in there where his talent was going to show.
That's the epitome of Jim Harbaugh, is it not? Everybody else would say, this is my guy. He starts one of them one week. He starts the other one the other week. I mean, I've never heard that in my life. Jim Harbaugh.
Well, but remember,
Maybe.
He's had a couple of. Stroud had at least one not great game.
Yeah, Young didn't play last, and then he was bad. He wasn't great against Texas.
Tell you what, man.
Here's what it looks like right now.
Duggan and
I got it for you.
Sanders, this game, if one of them plays really well and they win, they got to be close, I would think. What do you got, Mark?
Those guys really have to keep winning. C.J. Stroud is odds on. He's minus 140. Then it drops way off to Caleb Williams at 10-1, Hendon Hooker at 12-1, Bryce Young 14-1, DTR 16-1, Blake Corum 16-1. Let me give you the
finally to a
Adrian Martinez is ahead of Max Duggan and
that's just dumb.
Spencer Sanders.
Kidding me? Duggan's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. What do you think about that game? What are you looking at down there? TCU, and by the way, Fat Jack said he loved TCU. I don't know if it's going to be an actual pick of his, but what are your thoughts?
A lot of points. I'm worried about OSU's defense. I don't think this is the week for the secondary, which is their Achilles heel anyway on that side of the ball to have to play a team that can run and pass. So I like TCU in the game.
I think they're going to miss Daniels. I mean, that dude.
Yes.
I mean, both you and Al told me about him a while ago. I know, Mark, you've been high on him for a long, long time. But, boy, as that kid learns, man, he's going to be a star. I mean, he is so good. I don't know if he's in the right position. I don't know what his position is. But anyway, yeah, that's going to be a great game. Okay, come on down here to Norman, which, by the way, the easiest traffic I've ever had driving down. I mean, unbelievable. It was there was
beautiful
no
morning,
one.
huh?
Oh, it's just – I wish I could wake up in the morning because I love the morning weather, but I just can't. I hate it. So
Yeah, that's like when I was married. They always say, the morning's the greatest part of the day. I go, you enjoy the morning, I'll enjoy the night.
Maybe
I love it.
Maybe that's why you're not married.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, Mark, what do you think's happening down here?
Well, I have no idea. I will tell you, I do want to say this about the quarterback situation going forward, and because I'd be wasting my time probably trying to pick this game because I really don't know how OU's going to play today. I've watched the last few weeks, been doing some high school games, and I saw week before last, there's a really good sophomore quarterback at Deer Creek, and there's a bunch of good sophomore quarterbacks in Oklahoma, which is the class of 2025. Steele Wassel, the class of 2023, is his Choctaw quarterback. He's committed to Akron right now. The only way to fix the depth situation at a place like Oklahoma, who is always going to get a quarterback in the transfer like Gabriel, who's going to come in, and therefore other quarterbacks I don't think will want to come. So all of the recruiting process that OU had in place with Lincoln Riley, all those quarterbacks are now off of the table. So all the investment that they've made in trying to find a quarterback is gone. So you have Gabriel, and then really, who else can we just go find? They need to find and identify a kid from Oklahoma or from the area, like Lincoln did with Chandler Morris, like this Wassel kid at Choctaw who can throw the football at a Division I level. He is a good player. He's going to go play at Akron. Joe Moorhead loved him at Oregon. And talk to him, and if you don't think that you can offer a scholarship because they're too valuable, then invite him to walk on or think about offering him a scholarship because of all the scholarships that you've got, having a quarterback that can step in and play in a game is important. I think Oklahoma State, Gunnar Gundy, was he ready to go as a quarterback out of high school that's a freshman? Not necessarily, but after he's been in that program and lifted and gotten bigger and stronger, I think if he has to step on the field today at TCU, if Spencer Sanders is banged up, then I think he's going to play well, and I think he'll play better than what Oklahoma would have had to be able to put out there on the field. So I think sometimes you have to have some roster management and understand we're in a different age, date, and time with this portal thing, and Oklahoma and big-time schools are going to have a hard time if a coach leaves of building some quarterback depth. So it's a pretty unique situation. But
your thoughts on that?
Well, if Gabriel stays, they're in good shape next year, I think, at quarterback. I mean,
I'm telling you, if you're an OU fan, I think you'd hope that Jackson Arnold is, the guy.
I think, listen, Jackson Arnold might be great, but I don't think the expectations of the minute that he walks on campus to put him out there and win a conference is necessarily fair.
But listen,
there's some people that can do it.
He's going to step on the campus in January, and then he's going to go through spring football. I'm just so sick and tired of this.
Well,
but
if he's that good, Jim,
yeah, go ahead.
then I think he's good. He's a 5-star player, and I've heard people rave about him. But that's a kind of a tough transition to say, look, we're going to throw you into the fire here. I think Gabriel would stay. I don't know where he would go. He's not going to go to the NFL. I mean, if he might leave to go to another school, but I wouldn't know why if he would come to Oklahoma that he would leave. So but that's fair, but I'm just telling you
I
the
like
depth
your idea.
that's there
I like
now
your idea,
isn't
Matt.
the answer.
Al and I talked about it this week about getting some more kids from Oklahoma. Bob Stoops, he owned the state of Oklahoma until the last few years where he lost some of those safeties. We talked about Al and stuff. But Lincoln Riley, he got some, but he didn't get players a lot from the state. He did.
Well, it's because he recruited on a national level.
well, and Brent's recruiting at a national level, too.
He is. I know.
But there's a caveat to that, too, because there are some players in Oklahoma that are good enough. Like I think, for example, Talon Shetron is going to be at Oklahoma State. I think he's going to give people fits for 3 years. He wasn't good enough to be in the top 2 or 3 receivers at OU, but I can promise you that difference by the time his career's over, you're not going to be able to tell that he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? As good as any receiver in that class. Yeah. So I'm not saying that you get the best players wherever they're from, but it doesn't hurt to have some depth of kids that are good players from this state that will be loyal to the program, that aren't going to jump in the portal at every second whenever somebody yells at them or something goes, haywire just a little bit.
Right. No, I listen. I agree with everything you're saying. So you're not going to make a pick on this game? You're just going to
I'll make a pick. I got Kansas in the points. I'd say Kansas wins at 38-35.
So Kansas is going to win the game?
I got no idea.
Well, Mark Rogers, ladies and gentlemen.
Tell me.
Could be right.
Tell me what
I have
evidence
no
there
idea.
is
It's the
to say that
stupidest-
OU is going to play
It's
well
one of the
today.
stupidest lines I've ever seen in my life. And then everyone's betting Kansas, and then obviously a couple smart guys came in and bet a bunch of money, and the line goes up. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, it's like the Alabama-Tennessee game.
You're right. Tennessee's the most bet-on
Fair
team
enough.
in the entire
Yeah.
country.
Well, but I know what I'm getting with Alabama. I mean, they
You're
play great
right.
every week.
Yeah.
They go to the national
No, you're right.
championships. I don't know what I'm
The
getting with
one
this OU
thing
team.
that we can all say about OU is we got no idea what they're going to bring to the table.
That's why I didn't want to make a pick, but I
Well,
just
you
did.
did.
There
We
you go.
forced you.
KU 38-35.
All right, Mark. You're going to be on the air today during the game with Big
Yeah,
Sam
we're
Mapes?
going to be doing Game Day Live. Me and Sam will be talking about the game, and so it should be a lot of fun. And, again, like I said, I have no idea what to expect. So,
All right, man. Thanks. Appreciate you.
all right. See you guys.
Yep. Countdown to kickoff Bud Light Game Time live from historical Campus Corner in Norman. We're in the RV General Store Sports Animal Mobile Studios, all brought to you by Lexus, the all-new Lexus NX with an available 14-inch touchscreen and the most advanced standard active safety system in a Lexus, so you can focus on what matters most. Experience amazing at Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma. Ryan Aber, ladies and gentlemen, from the Oklahoman is next, right here on the leader in sports, The Animal.
Weapons of the Game. Sponsored by Travis Watkins, tax resolution and accounting firm. IRS problems? No problem. Call 405-451-3399.
Hey, guys, we're up.
And myself, Al Eschbach, and Jim Traber, Oklahoma, are going against Kansas today at 11 o'clock right here in Norman. Jim and I are right here on campus, go right in front of O'Connell's. We're here all year long, pre- and post-game for home games. Weapons, right now, Ryan Aber, who does a great job covering OU for the Oklahoman. Weapons of the game. I'm going to say Marvin Mims. I thought the TCU game, before Gabriel went out, they did as good a job trying to get him the ball. Now Gabriel overthrew him, so I think they're gonna. You got to make a great effort to get the ball.
Well, yeah,
right?
I agree, and I'll tell you what, Ryan, I've never seen what I saw last week. Marvin Mims was running go routes, and he ran 70 yards down the field, knowing there was no chance he was going to get the ball. That's got to be frustrating when you're that good.
Yeah, there's no doubt that he was frustrated last week. Really never got a chance to be a part of the game. They've got to find a way to get the ball in his hands. You know, I'm going to also throw out Jaleel Farouk, who's become a bigger and bigger part of this offense. We saw last week that they, got him the ball in some different situations. He's lined up in the backfield. Heck, Marvin Mims has lined up in the backfield a couple times recently. And regardless of who their quarterback is, what their offense looks like, they've got to get the ball in the hands of their best player. And to me, that's Marvin Mims.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Let's talk about the defense. It's pretty obvious that they're going to stay with the three-man front. Al brought up a great stat earlier. Listen to this, Ryan. Al brought up a great stat that I did not know. Kansas has given up 1 sack this year. Now, I think that has something to do with Daniels, but obviously, even though they're not a massive offensive line, they're blocking well.
Yeah, they are, and it certainly seems like Brent Venables has dug his heels in and say, this is the way we're going, regardless of the results, regardless of what it looks like on the field. We're going to stick with this when we think it's the better system to run. And it's I know it's gotten frustrating for a lot of OU fans. It's certainly head-scratching for at least some of us to think that you don't just mix things up and try to go back to what was so successful for them early in the season. I know that Brent Venables said there's some injury things and maybe they wouldn't talk about it till after the season, but right now it's just nothing is working for them defensively at any level. And you've got to wonder if it wouldn't be better just to mix some things up and hope that you can catch lightning in a bottle somehow.
Well, the problem they got with the three-man, it's evident they can't stop the run, and their pass rush is horrific. I mean, as bad as it can be.
Yep. He's betting on the come, a guy that loves to throw the dice. He's betting on the come. He's saying, okay, I know that this, but we're going to learn it. We're going to figure it out. And then when I get better players, we're going to be really good.
But the problem is, around here, they're not going to give him a lot of time.
Al, I'm 100% with you. And then the other thing I think we talked about, too, you and me, Al, he's got to, I know this sounds crazy, he's got to start being on time for his press conferences. Ryan, I mean, that you just don't do that, man. You don't come as late as he came. When did he finally end up getting in the room last week, Ryan?
For Texas.
Last week wasn't as late as he's been a couple times, but I think it was about 5 minutes late.
No, well, after the game. After
the game. I'm not talking about Tuesday.
After the game?
Yeah, after the game.
Oh, goodness. After the game took forever because normally the losing team's supposed to go first at OU Texas, and we waited quite a while, and then they said, well, Texas is coming, and then had to wait quite a while more before OU rolled in there. It was more than an hour after the game. It's always a long wait. But
you guys are both journalists. I'm not, but that to me just seems you right. I mean, Al, you've been around a long time.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
You can't do that. I mean,
you can't.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it, and I think you wonder about organization and just keeping on top of things with the way that's played out week to week. Not that what Brent Venables dealing with us needs to be front of mind, but it does bring the question whether that's a sign of other things.
Well, when you lose, everything is magnified, right, Al? If he was 6-0,
Well,
no one would care.
And that's why if you lose, you got to do the same as when you win. You cannot treat it differently.
No, that's a great point. They can't have those valleys and stuff. Let me ask you a question, Ryan. Is there anybody last week I was asking Al, who's that? I guess they played more of those, couple of those transfers, the one kid from Arizona State, right, and the other kid from
Wyoming
and North Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean, so they're just trying their best. Here's the problem, though, and I think we all agree. They didn't have a very good year in the portal. Am I right? And Al's been harping on it. He's right on the money. This year, they've got to have a good portal year.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, heck, you look at those guys, C.J. Colden, the Wyoming transfer that you mentioned, hadn't heard a whole lot about him until that interception, which was, like catching a pop-up on the infield for him. So
right.
Easy to drag that in. Trey Morrison, who we heard a lot about before the season, did make his first start last week, but hadn't heard a ton from him. Jeffrey Johnson, Jonah Laulu, LV Bunkley Shelton, the wide receiver. I mean, on and on. They're guys who are just role players at best. Heck, I think outside of Dylan Gabriel, obviously, Jeffrey Johnson might be the top one of the group, and he certainly hasn't been that kind of difference maker on the defensive front. I think the move to the three-man front has certainly hurt him there. But, yeah, they did not
break when you're ready
in the portal for sure, and they're going to have to hit some home runs there because even with Brent Venables bringing in his first full class as the OU coach, it's going to take some time to develop those guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball, to be able to play at the level that he wants. But, time is something like Al alluded to that there's not going to be a lot of if we keep seeing the results like we've seen the last 3 weeks.
I wonder if the defense is really complicated where guys like Kanik, he said he's not ready, or he said the two, Kip Lewis and who's the other kid out of Lubbock, Rhinebeck?
Kobe McKenzie.
Yeah, Kobe, a red shirt. And I mean, and now he did play Gentry Williams last week, but I wonder if this defense is that complicated that these guys can't learn it.
Yeah, I think that's certainly part of it, that they're doing so many more things than they've done in the past. And certainly Kanik's a little bit different animal just since he's hasn't played that position to this point. But, certainly they've tried to do some more things defensively, and you wonder if it wouldn't be bad just to strip it down and make it basic and then roll out your guys who you feel like are best in that. We did see Kip Lewis for a couple of defensive plays last week. We'll see if we see him much again today. Certainly with the injury to Shane Witter, losing him, they're going to have to find somebody else that they can roll out there at linebacker, even if it's just a warm body at this point. But I can't remember if I brought this up last week, but how big does that injury to T.D. Roof look from before the season? Didn't think a whole lot of it then, but certainly with the depth that they've shown, they really, really could have used him all season, but especially the last few weeks.
Yeah. How about injury-wise? Is there anybody new, anybody coming back this week?
Well, obviously the biggest question is Dylan Gabriel. I anticipate that he's going to play after being in the concussion protocol. We'll see if was able to clear it over these last couple days, but seemed like that was heading in the right direction earlier in the week. And then, I would be surprised sort of if Billy Bowman plays today. That's another big one for them. We'll have Woody Washington likely back at that safety spot. So they really, obviously they got to have Gabriel back to have any chance in this game. We saw that last week, but certainly Bowman is a big piece for them on defense as well. Need him back as soon as they can get him.
Let me ask you something. Has anybody asked Brent who was calling the offensive plays? Defense plays, I mean. Defense.
Plays.
Yeah.
We have not. directly, and that's certainly something that probably needs to get asked sooner rather than later, and especially if that's changed. Brent Venables said he's as involved as he's been all season on that side of the ball, but you've got to imagine that if Brent wasn't calling the plays, that he's got to be really close to pulling the trigger there. Although I don't think calling the plays is a problem on this defense, other than just maybe the structure of it. But if who they're rolling out there and what they're doing, because it's not working at any level for them. It's not just they're missing tackles here, they're struggling at this spot. It's up and down that group. They're just not getting the job done.
And that's it, Jim. Their tackling has been horrific, and I do use the word horrific.
And they were really good earlier in the season. I mean, look, Nebraska's not any good, but they've got players, and they were tackling great. I don't know what. Like I said earlier, we got duped, Ryan. We did. We got duped. We all thought after the first 3 games, I can see changes and blah, blah, blah. And the last 3 games, we went right back to non-tackling and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, heck, I said it with y'all that, I saw the change in physicality and things that stood out even with the opposition that they were playing, but I was clearly wrong, and so many of us were, because they're just not doing those things. And it's not just tackling. It's the angles that they're taking are horrific at times. They're not getting any kind of a pass rush. They're not getting turnovers. I mean, heck, at least the last couple of years with Alex Grinch, you could say at least they're forcing turnovers in pretty significant numbers, getting the ball back in the hands of that offense and taking their chances. They're not really doing that the last 3 weeks, outside of, like I said, that one C.J. Colden interception last week that was just sort of a gift. So they've got to figure out something, because this thing could get worse before it gets better as you look at the schedule that lays out in front of them.
Yeah. Tell us, what'd you pick a score in this game, Ryan?
This was a tough one, but I can't imagine, sitting there talking about all the problems defensively. It's hard to imagine Kansas not putting up a fair amount of points on this defense, even without Jalen Daniels, because Bean was, pretty good last week. When he came in, it's clear that their offense is more than just Jalen Daniels. I think OU is going to score more, which is any. But with Dylan Gabriel back, I think they're back to looking like a confident offense. But in the end, I think Kansas pulls this one out. OU's losing streak continues. I went 31-28 Jayhawks in this one.
All right, Ryan. Thanks a lot, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all. Have a good one.
Yep. Well, Al, you don't see the beat writer pick the other team very often.
No, I mean, but you've seen the way OU's been playing defense. I mean,
I'm not getting on to him. I'm just saying that if you look at the history of the daggone newspaper.
Especially when OU's a big favorite in the game.
You're right. I mean, they're a 9-point favorite. Countdown to kickoff, Bud Light Game Time, live from historic Campus Corner in Norman in the RV General Store Sports Animal Mobile Studios. It is all driven by Eskridge Lexus, and they got that 2022 Lexus NX. It is impressive. Welcome to the next level. Experience amazing at Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma City. I'll tell you what, you're experiencing amazing right here with our pregame show. And coming up, even more amazing, it'll be Mr. Sam Mays. I don't know how we're going to get in here, but he's going to come in and sit down. We'll be elbowing each other as we talk. Stay with us on The Sports Animal.
Live from the RV General Store Sports Animal Mobile Studio in historic Campus Corner. It's countdown to kickoff with Bud Light Game Time. Driven by Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma City.
Hey, guys, we're up? Yeah, that's better. You guys are up?
And we're back. Myself, Al Eschbach, Jim Traber, joined by Sam Mays here. Oklahoma going against Kansas, 11 o'clock kickoff today. And I led my the pregame here show saying, Sam, if Oklahoma wants to go bowling, just go bowling. They got to win this game today.
100%. Yeah, this is extremely important for the Oklahoma Sooners, no question. And, when you consider the Big 12 this year, the thing that's really kind of separated from the rest of college football is excellent line play, right, on the defensive line and on the offensive line. Kansas is one of the few teams in this league that's not veteran-laden across the front. Bunch of sophomores, a bunch of redshirt freshmen, guys that can play, and they play a little bit, Jim, like, Peyton Manning's, Jeff Saturday-led Colts. It's not about movement. It's just about getting their bodies in the right place. So when I think of Reggie Grimes and Ethan Downs and the way they've struggled the last few weeks, they're going against a bunch of guards that are 330, guys that have been there 5 years, guys that got a couple of kids and an eye patch, like some real felons that they played against in the last couple of games in conference. This is not that. So I would hope that the Oklahoma defensive front would have just a little more success going against an offensive front, that they're able to move around a little bit versus what they've dealt with.
I heard you say that this week. I actually said it earlier about it. But then Al brought up an unbelievable point. They've only given up one sack all year.
They're well coached.
But they're not huge.
Right.
So you would think that Downs, they're just out of place. I mean, Downs and Grimes are both out of place. All I can think of is I watch like T.J. Watt and these dudes in the NFL. Dude, they are like 5 yards outside the tackle.
Correct.
And they're saying, okay, we're going to see how quick you are.
Right.
And they run straight at the quarterback, and these big offensive tackles have got to try to get out there. I don't understand why they don't do that with Grimes and Downs a little bit.
I think a little bit is just not confidence in the interior of that defensive front. When you play a three-man front like that, Jim, you got to have a dude in the middle.
Like Ika.
Yeah, 100%.
Baylor.
You want 350. You want immovable object, a guy that's reaching out and grabbing both guards, keeping them from getting up to the second level. They're keeping those tackles those ends in a little bit more to kind of help support the middle of the field. And I don't know that it's helping them out very much. And like I said, a bunch of good offensive linemen, guys that are managing that defensive front well. Stutzman is young. Linebackers are young. They're getting caught up in the wash. I mean, there's a lot of issues with that defense right now. Look, I think that they're going to have some success today. It's a backup quarterback. I think they'll play in the backfield a little bit more than we've seen the last couple of weeks. Do I know that it's going to have a huge impact on the score, as far as who's going to win the game? I think it will this is going to be a good game. It's going to be a 4-quarter game, but it's going to be tough today for sure.
Well, it just seems like Grimes and Downs are suited for the 4-man front better than 3-man front.
I would agree 100% there, but you got to have a couple of defensive tackles that you trust, and your secondary's just been beat up all season long. Guys just with bad technique. They're not looking for the ball. They're out of position. They're out of place.
I don't want to cut you off, but you know what's mind-boggling to me? I watch these guys, and we all see it. They take bad angles. Let me tell you, they are literally in their 10th year of football, maybe 12th. Why are they taking such bad angles?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just mind-boggling to me.
So much of it is confidence. I think that once you start, I never experienced the kind of pressure that you experience here at Oklahoma as a football player. That's just the reality of it. And I think once things start going bad, these guys start to doubt themselves, and it's like a contagious thing, right? One guy misses a tackle, then the next guy misses a tackle. One guy gets a pass interference call, then the next guy, when the ball's up in the air, he panics. He gets a pass interference call. I mean, it's like a disease that just kind of goes through the team when you're dealing with – these are blue chips. These are dudes that did nothing but chase high school championships. They're the best player on their team.
And they probably took great angles in high school.
Oh, I'm sure they did. And I think that once they've just lost a little confidence in themselves. I mean, come on now. The last decade has been nothing but success. And here we are. This is my first time in 20 years. I have never covered or played against an Oklahoma Sooner team that wasn't a national championship contender in 20-plus years. So I couldn't imagine being the team that struggles for the first time in 20 years, right? I mean, that's a lot on a team. It's a lot on the captains. It's a lot on leadership. It's just mentally taxing.
Well, and the thing, we watch the defensive backs. They get hit freshmen. They're pretty good. They regress.
Yeah, freshmen. You're right. No, we've had, over the last 10 years, we've had freshman cornerbacks that Al and I sat in this thing and said, wow, that kid's going to be really good. And then you're right, they digress.
And then the one, I think it was one of the pro guys, had him ranked as #1 cornerback in the country. Matt Meyer, who am I thinking of? Had a great sophomore year.
Oh.
That played here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big, tall kid, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget what his name. I know exactly what you're talking
But
about.
yeah, they
How,
had
how
one
long ago?
About what, 9 years ago?
Yeah, they've had some dudes.
Wow.
They've had some bodies. They've had
And
some
they
physical
don't even
presence.
think you've got drafted, but yeah, it's insane.
It is. No, you're right. It is insane.
I mean, I'm just throwing out names. There was Jordan Thomas. There was Zach
Jordan
Sanchez.
Jordan
Yeah,
Thomas.
that's who it was.
Jordan
Yep.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Good
Jordan
job,
Thomas.
Matt Meyer. Yeah, I forgot all about him. Okay, let's go down to Fort Worth. 2 undefeated teams, huge game. I'll tell you something. I told Al all week the winner of this game will have to literally fall on their face not to get to Arlington, in my opinion. I know the league is hard, but if you have a win against this team, TCU, think about it. Look at the wins that they'll have. At Kansas, against OSU. I mean, and OSU will have at Baylor, at TCU. So just a huge game.
Yeah, absolutely massive here for Mike Gundy. I think he's done an excellent job with this team this year. You know, it's not perfect defensively in the back end, but when you have 5, 6 NFL players in your defensive front, you got guys coming off the bench that are NFL caliber players there in Stillwater for the defensive front. That helps. I think the key to the game here, really for both teams, offensively, is to play as much small ball as you can. You want 10, 12, 14 play drives you can, keep the opposing offense off the field. Max Duggan is the best quarterback in the country right now statistically, which is insane. And I promise you that TCU offensively is playing that way. They believe that they're the best offense in the nation. Those guys are hitting on all cylinders. It's going to take Spencer Sanders moving the chains. If it's 3rd and 6, cool, go get me 7. Right, and let's get 4 more snaps in there. It's going to take him just running the football, short passes, get the guys that are athletes the ball in their hands, and let's see what they can do. This is going to be a high-scoring affair, but I like the Cowboys here.
Dykes has done an unbelievable job.
Well, yeah,
Incredible.
I mean, Duggan was an average under Patterson, who's a defensive guy.
Yep.
Look what Dykes has done with him.
done
Absolutely.
unbelievable.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's really kind of given Duggan the keys to the kingdom. He's out there just playing the game that he wants to play. He's got 5 receivers that I think 4 of the 5 are probably going to play in the NFL. And Nick Saban said years ago,
Johnson is unbelievable.
He's incredible.
I mean, he's
Saban said
unbelievable.
years ago that you want your receiving core to look like a basketball team. You want some height, you want somebody that's a point guard, you want somebody that's a power forward. He's just got this versatile group of guys that are able to do basically everything they need to do to have success on the field. They're built for success, and Dykes has really kind of given them the power to be as good as they are this season.
He's a good coach.
He is,
He
absolutely.
really is. And their defense is not horrific. I mean, they're okay, but I do think OSU is going to score a bunch of points. And listen, every single game it's Spencer Sanders. I mean, he literally, the guy, when he plays like he did down at Baylor, every game he seems to throw one bad pass,
Yep.
but at least it's not 3 or 4. He's getting a lot better at that. But man, he is, gosh. And I told Al at the beginning of the year, I know it sounds stupid, but I was shocked at what a good runner he is. I mean,
Right.
I knew he could run, but I was watching him this year, man. He is impressive. Here's my question for you. Will that dude from TCU try to knock him out of the daggone game too? I bet she will.
I'll say this. I feel bad for defenders in college football today.
Sure.
Really across the board. When every single quarterback you play can make you look foolish. Every single quarterback you play can get out in space. They got one cut. They can get up the field and run for 25 yards. I think quarterbacks probably need to start sliding sooner, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah,
As
that's
a
what Barry Trammell said.
Yeah, as a defender, you're just reacting. And so when you see a guy like Dylan Gabriel who's low to the ground, who can move side to side quickly, when he goes to lean back and you're as a defender, you can't decide if he's putting on the brakes to move left or right laterally, or is he going to slide. So you're still going to launch yourself at his waist, right, trying to bring him down like he was trying to make a move on you. Well, if he slides and you've already launched yourself at his waist, the next thing that's going to happen is you're going to hit him in the face.
Right.
And it is kind of what it is.
But common sense is that almost every single quarterback is going to slide.
Right.
If you're playing against Josh Allen, well, guess what? You better go hit the guy.
Right.
But every single quarterback now slides. So I hate this mentality, but you got to think, okay, I'm going to come after him, but if he starts to slide, I got to pull off or dive or not hit him. But I think this dude does it on purpose. I mean, that's like the 3rd time he's hit a quarterback. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not you get the targeting, you get kicked out the game, you lose a half.
Yeah.
At the same time.
I would do it. I said it on my show yesterday. It's horribly immoral, and I apologize. But if I'm a defensive coach, Al, I'd say, okay, guess what? I want you to, if you can, hit that quarterback and get him the heck out of the game.
And I had a great call. Said, okay, the dude that does that, he's out as long as the quarterback is out.
That's fine. Get him something.
Right.
Hey, that hit on Gabriel was horrific. He didn't try anything except trying to hit him in the head.
Right.
And then he gets a half. I'm sorry, man. it's too much. But I agree, it's hard on the defenders. They've made this game hard on the defenders.
Look, at the end of the day, football is a violent sport played by violent men. That's just the reality of the situation. I'd be lying to you if we didn't have calls, built-in calls on the offensive line when I was in school that we played against a guy like Tommy Harris or a guy like Marcus Tubb. We would call Navy call, and that means I'm going to put my face mask on his ACL. And I would tell him at the end of the play, I'm going to try to blow your knee out today.
It's
and I
the way
promise
it
you,
is.
I promise you, they didn't come off the line of scrimmage like that. It's a violent sport played by violent people. I promise you, there are still headhunters in this game. No doubt.
My brother was a huge recruit. Everybody wanted him. Big tight end, defensive end. And on his bedroom door, it said, dancing is a contact sport. Football is a collision sport. That's what he. That's
I love
what he
that
had.
so much. Absolutely.
Now, if you do that nowadays, they're going to wait a minute. We're going to suspend you for that.
Right.
But it is, and they've taken away. But I do feel bad for the defensive players. But man, it would be smart to knock a dude out. I mean, today you think they're not going to try to hit Gabriel's head out? You think they're going to try?
Or Bryce Young. I mean, Tennessee's going to beat them, but if Bryce Young, they knock him out.
Yep.
I don't know that it's a team thing that's being said, but I'm just telling you, if I was on the defensive front, I'm in the defensive line room saying, this kid's coming back from a concussion. Let's go ahead and see if we can get a good hit on him.
Absolutely.
Like that's 100% being said by the players.
No doubt.
That's the reality.
And then if you watch the backup quarterback in Texas, you're like, we get him out. We were going to win the game no matter what. So anyway, it's a crazy game. Speaking of Alabama, Tennessee, what are your thoughts on that game?
Oh, I think Tide rolls here. As much as I appreciate Heupel and the job that he's done, he's clearly a builder of programs. He's a good coach. He does a good job there.
Let me tell you, he is so much better than Allen I thought he was going to be right out.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Because, first of all, he's a terrible communicator,
right,
which you need, but obviously he's gotten better.
The problem with Alabama is when you're good enough for them to take you serious, it's a problem. I think they came into Texas, and everybody said this is going to be a blowout. It is what it is. We've got this. And I don't think they took the Longhorns as serious. Tennessee poses a real challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Which means you're going to get the best version of Alabama, which is not good for anybody. I think they win by double digits.
And everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you're from up there in Ohio, and when you were growing up, you hated Michigan. But what are your thoughts on crazy Jim Harbaugh and Michigan against Penn State?
So I love the Nittany Lions. I don't know how much you've watched of them, but I think that secondary is probably one of your top 5 groups in the country. It's going to be extremely difficult for Michigan to throw the ball on them, and I don't know that Michigan's got the horses up front to just go at Penn State and run the ball successfully for 4 quarters. So I kind of like Nittany Lions to win this game. I don't know what the line is, but
it's 7.
Okay,
Michigan's given 7.
Yeah, I like Penn State here.
That'd be a great win for Franklin. I don't know, Franklin. Everybody thinks he's the greatest coach in the world, and obviously he's good, but when's Penn State going to win? Can they win that? Can they win the East now? Can they win the East?
No.
I don't think they can either. They're just in a bad position with Ohio State having to play them every daggone year.
You're going to have to beat Penn State's butt. Like, they're real physical. They want to get in a fist fight. Harbaugh just doesn't do it for me. I know that team's in the right mindset to beat Penn State today.
Yep. All right, let's go down to Fort Worth. Give me a score. What do you think's going to happen down there?
I like the Cowboys probably 38-28 in this game. I think they'll win by double digits. I think at the end of the day, it's a 4-quarter game, no question, but Sanders is just too good at moving the chains. I think the time of possession will go towards Oklahoma State, and that defensive front will get to Max Duggan. And if they don't sack him, at least they'll keep his butt in the pocket. Like, that's the biggest thing with that dude. He gets on the edges and he runs the ball like a tailback. He's a track star from Iowa, and he looks like it when he gets into space. I think Oklahoma State's defensive front good enough to at least keep him in the middle of the field, preventing some of those long runs.
Yeah, I'm really worried about their defensive backfield. Duggan is for real. I didn't think he would be. He wasn't even the starter, Al, at the beginning of the year.
No, Chandler Morris was.
And now like you said, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. This is going to be an unbelievable test. And I'll say it again, I think they're going to miss Daniels in the first half. I really do. I just think that dude brings it, man. He brings
Absolutely.
it. And he may not go in the right spot, but he brings it.
100%
I remember defense. It might have been Pat Jones when I was at OSU. He would tell his defensive players, look, if you don't know where you're supposed to be, at least go where you're not supposed to be and do it hard. Go get them. Go do something good. And that's what he does, Crazy. All right, let's go to this game. Nobody has any idea. By the way, the line's up to 10. OU is now minus 10. Going up. Everybody betting OU. So what do you think, Sam?
Man, there's no real football reason that I can find that I think that Oklahoma is going to show up and beat this Kansas team. And that's the thing that's probably the most ridiculous statement I can make, right? Like, I studied the games, I'm watching the teams, and I'm like, OU just hasn't shown me a heartbeat defensively yet. So it's hard for me to hop on board and say they're going to find a way this week. Why would I say that if they haven't proven to have any sort of ability to play defense yet? So the Kansas backup gets in the game last week, throws for 300 yards in the second half.
260 and 4 touchdowns.
Good Lord. So it's going to be another tough day for Oklahoma. I think it's going to be a 4-quarter game. They're going to have a chance in the fourth quarter, but it's going to be up to Dylan Gabriel and his ability to put this team on his back if the Sooners find a way to win.
What's your score?
Give me Kansas, probably similar to what you're seeing there in Stillwater. Give me 41-35 Kansas.
Let me ask you, offensive line-wise, Al and I both believe, and I guess Venables said that he thinks the offensive line's pretty well. You're an offensive line.
Dude, they're good.
OU?
It's the dumbest thing ever. Like, there's no such thing really as a good team with a bad or a bad team with a good offensive line.
Right.
How are they this bad with a line that's played as well as they have? And it's because they're just not moving the chains. Like, when it's 3rd and 6 and Dylan Gabriel's got to throw a slant, he's got to complete that pass so they can get 4 more downs, and Levy can run the ball. Levy has not been able to run his offense yet in conference play because the defense has just sacrificed himself, and Gabriel's out there missing easy passes. So as long as they can complete those short passes, stay on the darn field, I think Oklahoma's offense will be great. They'll run the crap out of the football today. They got 3 great backs. I think Al, you've been telling me the Barnes kid is a superstar.
Yeah, he got a burst.
Oh,
he
looks. Remember the Ross kid they had a few years back?
Yeah, Ross.
He's like Ross, but with some shimmy to him. Yeah, Ross was a
Ross
great
was a
straight
track
line
guy.
runner.
Was a track
Yeah,
guy.
but this kid can put a foot in the dirt and get up the field.
I love Barnes. I love the kid. I think that, as the season goes along, I think they need to give the ball a little bit more to him. Although Eric Gray's shown some really nice things. And Marcus Major's short down, short back. So, they're solid there. Well, listen, Sam, we love having you part of the sports animal.
Thanks, guys.
This is the big leagues now. You're not in the minor leagues
I
anymore.
appreciate it.
This is the big leagues. By the way, tell the people what you're going to be doing during the game.
Yeah, so Game Day Live, we're going to be at the Noun Hotel right down the street. So if you got your phone out and you're at a tailgate, you're at the house watching the game, you'll be able to tune in to Mark and I, and we'll comment during the game. We'll watch it with you, basically. Have a couple of beers and kind of talk about what's going on throughout the 4 quarters of football. You can find that on the Sports Animal YouTube, the Sports Animal Facebook, and on my Twitter account at All American Maze. Check it out.
Beautiful. And we're on YouTube and everything right here now, too, on Sports Animal, the app and everything. You can watch us as well. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. So good to see you.
Sam Maze.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate him. This is Countdown to Kickoff, Bud Light Game Time, live from Historic Campus Corner in Norman in the RV General Store Sports Animal Mobile Studio. And it's brought to you by the powerful and capable Lexus GX, now with a 10.3-inch touchscreen. Expand your comfort zone. Experience amazing at Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma City. When we get back, it'll be Mr. Barry Trammell. He's going to be down there in TCU, right? He's in Fort Worth.
Worthless.
Yes.
Fort Worthless, our man Dean. We'll be back. This is the home of the Thunder and the leader in sports, the Animal.
43 Vision, Eskridge Honda, Valvoline, Instant Oil Change, Revive Men's Health, and Adams Family Real Estate. Who will air it out in today's game? Sponsored by Air Comfort Solutions. Make the winning call. Call 405-721-3740.
Countdown to kickoff here on Campus Corner in Norman on absolutely beautiful, and I do mean beautiful, day today. Oklahoma, Kansas, 11 o'clock. So Alice Big Jim Traber, let's go down to Fort Worth. Barry Trammell, who's going to air it out. If you're an Oklahoma fan, it better be Dylan Gabriel.
Absolutely. Tram's supposed to be 91 degrees down there, Tram, today, huh?
Yeah, I was hoping for a little more football-type weather.
Yeah, well, we all know how October is in Oklahoma. It can be 95 and it can be 55. So,
How is it in Norman?
We're supposed to. I think post game for us is going to be like 86, so it's going to be warm. But right now it is just gorgeous.
Tell me about the atmosphere on Campus Corner.
It was the least traffic I've ever had driving in this morning. I could not believe it.
Oh my goodness!
But it's good now.
They're rolling in. No, they're rolling in kind of late. You know, it's a homecoming game, so you would think that this would be packed up, right?
Yeah. I haven't seen Kansas fans. I thought there'd be more Kansas.
I saw one group. Here's one right here. He's walking up right now. But I saw about 6 guys walk by. But I think the Kansas fans are going to have to be here. The chance of a lifetime to be able to see a win here, right?
Yeah. My goodness.
Well, it's a difficult atmosphere, difficult time. It's not going. If the Sooners don't play well, I don't expect it to be real enjoyable in the stadium today.
No, you're right. I think that the fans are on the verge of like getting really upset. But let's we'll talk more about this game. Let's go down where you are down there in Fort Worth, or as Dean Blevins calls it, Fort Worthless. First of all, did you eat dinner down there last night?
Yeah, I went to a Mexican place, Mercado Juarez, sort of an iconic Mexican joint.
Was it
was
good?
Really good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I did.
Good. What do you think about? I mean, that's a huge game down there where you are. I mean, it's one of the biggest games in the country, right? The winner of this team game is in pretty daggone good shape.
Yeah, right now you'd have to say it's probably shaping up as a 4-team race for Arlington with these two plus Kansas State and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then ironically enough, TCU plays K-State next week. OSU plays Texas next week. So by 10 o'clock next Saturday, we're going to have a pretty good idea what this race looks like.
Do we have game times for next week yet? For everybody?
2:30 in Stillwater. 2:30 in Stillwater.
What's here? What's OU?
They're off next week.
Oh, that's right. They're not playing. What am I thinking about? Okay, good. What do you think keys are down there? Obviously, every time OSU steps on the field, Spencer Sanders is a key, right?
Yeah, I would say containing Max Dugan. They got enough speed. Their wide receivers are going to hurt you, so don't let Dugan running around hurt you also. And then I would also say OSU's been really good on the special teams. Keep doing that, and they're hard to beat. Get a big return, get a big play, and on a block or whatever.
That kickoff kickoff return by Nixon was huge against Baylor, right? Was it Baylor? Yeah, Baylor. Yeah.
Yeah, and Presley had a 50-yarder in that same game. So they had 2 guys that took it back at least half the field in the same game.
I'm asking both of you a question.
Last week, Tanner Brown makes 4 field goals.
Yeah.
So, they've got a good special teams going. If they keep that up, that gives them a big edge.
I'm gonna ask both of you all a question. I'll start with you, Al. Who has the best quarterback in this game?
Well, right now it's been Duggan.
I have to agree with
you.
So right now,
I mean, Barry, we talked about earlier what Dykes has done with Duggan.
Wow.
Has been unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been very impressive. They didn't know what they had. They started Chandler Morris in front of him in the season opener. But clearly Duggan is the better quarterback.
How many years does Duggan have left, Tram? How many years does he have left?
Well, he would have one because of the COVID. This is his
fifth year.
His fourth season starting, so he would get another year because of the 2020 pandemic.
I wonder if he's an NFL guy.
I don't. Well,
I'll tell you this: if Skylar Thompson is starting for the Miami Dolphins tomorrow,
Right.
so that means that both Spencer Sanders and Duggan could probably play there, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, but Skylar Thompson was a good quarterback, but so was these two guys. So yes, but he's not a guy that's going to go in the fifth round. You know, Skylar Thompson is a seventh-round pick.
Right.
So if I'm not telling anybody what to do, but financially, they'd probably be just as well off come back and play another year.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's a good point, but you don't want to get too old when you're going in there. So who are you picking down there in that game?
I just picked OSU just because, you know, the intel I have is that Sonny Dykes thinks he matches up pretty well with OSU, talent-wise and all those things. But he is scared just of their experience and their failure to lose. He said they just don't lose games. You know, you play them and they end up at the end of the game with more points than the other team for now two years.
No, you're right.
So
you're right.
They got a nice knack for winning games, and most of the guys here played in a bunch of big games. So that's what I'm riding with.
That is a good point, Al. They do
find
how
a way to
win,
win.
don't
They find a way to win. There's no
That's a
doubt.
tremendous testament to Mike Gundy.
And yeah, it is, because before Gundy got there, they were losing all close games,
And you're
and
right.
they weren't winning on the road.
Oh, on the road was unbelievable. Yeah, they couldn't do anything on the road. Tram, let's go around the country. Alabama, Tennessee, Josh Heupel. Are you with us? Is Josh Heupel doing a lot better job or a lot better head coach than you thought? Al and I thought.
Oh, yeah. Way better.
Yeah.
Way better. Way better.
His
way better.
We thought his communication skills weren't the best and everything, but my gosh, the dude's doing an unbelievable job.
You know, one thing, he's really smart.
He is really smart.
Really smart.
Offensively, you're right.
Yeah.
Really, really smart. But what are your thoughts on that game, Tram?
I refuse. I've not really come to reality that Alabama is susceptible. I still got to believe that when you line these teams up, Alabama's got 35 of the 50 best players on the field. So I keep thinking Alabama's going to blow them out. I'm not a big believer in Tennessee. They've done a nice job. They've won games that could have gone either way. LSU, although they ended up blowing them out. Florida, which could have gone either way. Pitt had them in trouble. So I got to go with Alabama in a big way, but Heupel's been very impressive. He's been very impressive.
By the way, they're saying Bryce Young's going to play.
Yeah. Well, on the other hand, and I love Alabama to cover. Alabama could have lost to Texas. Could have lost last week to A&M.
You're right. No, and what did we just talk about? Alabama is just like Mike Gundy and Saban, but the difference is that Saban's players are so daggone good. You know, they beat really good teams too, but when they play a team that sometimes they struggle, but they end up winning, Tram. They should have never won that Texas game, right?
Yeah, they really shouldn't have won last week. I mean, A&M, was on the 2-yard line. So I like Alabama is more so than
break when you're ready.
Alabama is showing resiliency this year. Usually they don't have to show any. They're showing some this year. They were in trouble against Texas, and they were in trouble against A&M. And here's the thing: if you like Tennessee, one thing Alabama's done in recent years is they have been a little shaky on the road. Now that last week they were in Tuscaloosa, for crying out loud, but they're not superhuman on the road.
Yeah,
so Rocky Top will impact them.
Al's been pointing that out, and this place will be psychotic.
It'll be psychotic.
I mean, they haven't been able to get fired up about their team since Fulmer, right?
That's probably right. Yeah, they're 0 for Saban. They're 15-0. Alabama's 15-0 against Tennessee since Saban got here.
My gosh.
Before Saban got there, Tennessee had gone 14-2 10-1 in the last 25 games against Alabama.
That is
So
unbelievable.
this once was a really good
That is-
rivalry. Now it's completely one-sided.
15 in a row. Golly, that is crazy. What about Michigan? I know you love Jim Harbaugh. Penn State. A lot of people think Penn State's going to go in there and win in the Big House. Michigan's played probably the worst schedule in the country. What are your thoughts up there?
I think it's two untested teams. The best, Penn State beat Purdue, but barely.
They beat
They probably
Auburn.
have the second best win of the two teams with going to Auburn and winning. I mean, Auburn's a mess, but it's still an SEC road game. Both completely untested, but I think Michigan's probably pretty good and better than Penn State. I would probably pick the home game in this game, no matter what. The home team. So I'll go with Michigan, but we really don't know much about either team.
What about, no, we don't talk about this game very much, but Minnesota and Illinois, Bielema doing an unbelievable job, Al. Minnesota, of course, P.J. Fleck. People don't like the guy, but obviously he's a really good coach. This might be for to win the West of that division, huh?
Well, here's what's interesting. There are, out of those teams in the West, there are 3 that have never made the Big Ten championship game. Those 3 are Minnesota, Illinois, and Purdue. Those are actually the 3 best teams in the West this year. And I would assume one of them is going to make it. So this very well could be for the division title and a trip to go get your head beat in by Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. So I think it's big.
Yeah.
And I'm pulling for Illinois because I like Brett Bielema. That'd be a great story.
Al, if Bielema goes to the daggone championship game, that is in his second year. That's
It's
impressive.
big time. It's big time.
Even though the West stinks up there.
and that what's going on in Wisconsin, it gotta hurt them that much more. What Bielema's done.
Oh, no doubt about it. Leonard, I guess, you said it, Tram. They fired him at the right time so that he could win, right? They played Northwestern in his first game. I don't know. I wonder if he wins their games, if they're going to keep him.
Well, you know what I would do? I'd already made a call to Matt Rule.
Well, I bet you they've already talked to him. But they love this Leonard
I think
guy.
they want this. I think they want this guy.
They love him.
Well, I mean,
I think that's it.
they were
But you
getting
brought
lit
it
up.
up.
They were getting lit up before.
Well, you brought it up. They gave up 46 or something, didn't they? Or something. They gave up 46, I think, to somebody. So, I don't know.
Ohio State.
Yeah. Well, Ohio State's, it's a little
But
different.
then, what did Illinois score on them?
Can't remember.
Scored a ton on them.
Remember, Tram, what the score was in that game?
Yeah, I think it was 31-9 or something.
Wow. That's a beatdown. So, all right. Well, Tram, give us a score where you are, and then we'll come up here and talk a little bit about this one.
I picked OSU 38-35. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a shootout.
I think we all think that. Okay, here in Norman, I know that none of us have any idea. By the way, the line is up to 10 now. OU is favored by 10 points in this game. Tell me a little bit about what you think is going to happen here.
Well, I don't have any idea what's going to happen, but I got a question for you.
Okay.
Has OU done anything in the last 15 days to make you think they can beat anybody by 10 points?
No.
I mean,
I can tell you what it is.
They literally.
I can tell you what it is. It's name recognition.
No doubt.
I mean,
it's name. You're right. It's branding. It's just. It's. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it's still sort of hard for me to believe. It's really just been the last 14 days, 15 days with Texas Christian and then Texas. How did this happen? I mean, even with the loss to Kansas State, it was a really good game, 41-34. That can happen. We've seen Bob Stoops and Lincoln Riley's really good teams play Kansas State, that kind of game. But then all of a sudden, they can't stop anybody doing anything, and they didn't even try against Texas offensively. And all of a sudden, they've hit calamity.
Well, let me.
I got one thing to say.
Here's my question.
Here's the deal.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll tell you this. If OU loses to Kansas today, I've got one thing to say. Iceberg. Yeah, you're right. 100%. It's 100% trouble and chaos if OU loses today.
Well, Al started to show up by saying they got to beat. If they want to go to a bowl game, they got to beat Kansas. That's the most psychotic thing I've ever heard come out of Al's mouth. But it's true.
I think that's right. I think it is true. It is.
You know, I got to tell you, all of us, none of us, fans, us, everybody, we all, like you said, how is this happening? I wonder, are the coaches asking that too?
Well, yeah, I assume they just don't know.
You're assuming what?
I assume they are asking, but I assume they don't know.
Al, you think they don't know what the heck's going on? And I don't mean that mean. I'm just saying, I mean, what do you think? They know why?
I want to see if this stuff, well, we're going to do this, and this. You can't do that. You got to win today. You can't just say, okay, well, maybe we're better at running this defense, but we're going to stay what we do. I mean,
yeah, Tram, we were talking. Brent Venables is betting on the come. I mean, he is betting on the come. He's like, this is my defense. This is what I do. We may not have the right people, but we're going to learn it. We're going to get it done. And obviously, so far, it could be hurting them, Tram.
Yeah, it's a case of I don't know if they know what to do on defense. I think the coaches are confused. I think they're mystified. I think they didn't judge the talent very well. Perhaps they didn't judge the offenses very well. And some of that is, if you look at it, Kansas State's offense has been great in one game, and that was OU. They were pretty good against Tech, but they didn't do anything against Iowa State. If you look at TCU, the Horned Frogs were really good against SMU and Colorado and Kansas, but they were great against OU. So I don't know that they've really been ready for what was coming at them. I don't know whose fault that is. I don't know what the deal is. I know this. I ran into a football coach during the week. He didn't coach anymore. But he was stunned at just how OU got pushed off the line of scrimmage Saturday.
Yeah.
We've long have talked about the OU pass defense, but Texas didn't have to throw the ball one time Saturday, and they would have blown out OU.
No, that's a good point.
They could just run all day on.
Hey, by the way, a couple things. You got Mordecai last night, 340 passing yards, 74 yards rushing. Gosh. But, hey, I got to tell you, there's something. Hey, Tram, are you at the stadium, Tram?
No, not yet, no.
Okay. Because I think there's some bad news at OSU. I think Spencer Sanders may not play today.
Well,
he's got a bad
we've
shoulder.
Heard some rumblings. Yeah, we've heard some rumblings about him.
I got to tell you, I'm getting a couple texts here and there. I think there's a chance that he's not going to play. When you get to the stadium, I don't know, we'll probably be off the air by the time you get to the stadium, but that would be a crushing blow for OSU if Sanders can't play today. I don't know how the heck they're going to win if he doesn't play.
That's devastating.
So we'll follow that as we go. All right, Tram, we have no idea what's going to happen here, but you got to give us a score. So what do you like?
I picked OU 34-30. I had the Jayhawks winning with Jalen Daniels. When they made the quarterback change because of injury to Jason Bean, I flipped the other way. But Bean's really good. He showed it last. Heck, he's the quarterback who almost beat OU last year. So this is not a destitute situation for the Jayhawks. I think it'll be close. I got the Sooners. I just can't imagine them losing 4 in a row, but maybe they will.
A lot of things this year we've all been saying, I just can't imagine. I can't imagine. And I'm telling you what, I'm tired of hearing 1998. I'll bet you they are even more than me. Probably the fans are as well. Tramp, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
See you guys.
That's Barry Trammell. We appreciate him. Time, countdown to kickoff, Bud Light Game Time, live from historic campus corner, all driven by Eskridge Lexus. We're in the RV General Store Sports Animal Mobile Studios. And when we get back, we're going to talk to Mr. Dean Blevins right here on the leader in sports, the Animal.
Countdown to kickoff and Bud Light Game Time. Time for Interurban's Instincts of the Day with Dean Blevins. What might happen today across the college football landscape? The Interurban's Instincts of the Day on WLS, the Sports Animal.
So Al Eschbach, Jim Traber, here on campus, calling Oklahoma going against Kansas. 11 o'clock today. Join us, Dean Blevins. And Dean, please, your Interurban inspiration of the day, please.
Well, the instinct of the day is you better swing by the Interurban either on the way or afterwards, all around the state. Fantastic people, fantastic food, fantastic prices. And, we go way back with Russ, and God rest his soul, Robert Ross, one of those guys that you just can't believe is not walking this earth anymore. But anyway, thinking of the Interurban. But it's a great day nationally. But, in your own backyard for Oklahoma, this is an opportunity to kind of right the ship or to get out of the ditch. I don't look at it as the best opportunity, regardless of the point spread, just because this is a triple option that is exquisitely run by Leipold and his guys, because they have to rely on execution more than they do on pure athletic ability. They have good enough athletes to be 5-1 and to beat Oklahoma, but it's more the execution that they pull off versus Oklahoma, which is not executing defensively. So I don't like that matchup from that standpoint. I do think that if Gabriel is the way I would expect him to be, Oklahoma should have success. I would like to think they could run the ball to give them some balance, and if they can do that, we might be in for a tight fit and a relatively high-scoring game.
Every pregame and postgame that we do, Al Eschbach starts off with everybody looks forward to see what he's going to say right at the beginning. Today he said, if OU wants to go bowling, they have to beat Kansas. Now let me tell you this, Dean. If either one of us would have said that at the beginning of the year, we'd have been thrown off the radio, okay? This is like a psycho situation, Dean, but he's right on the money. This is a huge game for OU.
Well, I would, going to a bowl would be, that's something that you dream about for people inside the program, I guess maybe right now. But right now it's about winning this one game. So I definitely don't disagree with that thinking. But all their focus had better be on this bunch right here. I know the kids prepared well. I think I mentioned to you that Brent came into his coach's show on Sunday, and I asked him a couple of questions about the kids and their focus and all of that. And he said, all I know is that there are roomfuls of players over there right now on their day off on Sunday watching tape, grading tape, watching tape, trying to figure out what they can do in this upcoming game, not looking back. So the focus is there. Will they execute better, mostly on the defensive end? If they don't, Kansas will score 50 points, and if they do, it'll be a nice close game.
Let me ask you something, Dean. Let's turn the clock back. Let's go back 47 years. Oklahoma, 1975, playing Kansas. Oklahoma not lost a game since 1972. Kansas rolls in here. Oklahoma's a huge favorite. Why don't you set the stage? What happened? How the fans booed Steve Davis, who had not ever lost a game at OU. What it was like in the locker room after the debacle in 1975.
Well, yeah, I vividly remember it. Not many people do remember the booing part, Al, because I'm sensitive to that because I got the treatment the next season. But for them to boo Steve Davis and actually want me in the ball game was a very strange feeling, and it made me just angry on the sideline, and it took Steve's focus off the game, and he was just livid as well. So fans do play a role both negatively and positively. But Nolan Cromwell came in with several really good football players, and Nolan was just a tremendous athlete. You like track guys, Al. He was a track guy, and he was also 6'2" and 200 pounds. So he was a killer running the wishbone. And they had a day where they just executed beautifully. and played over their heads, and we didn't. And it was a morgue in the locker room. It was more shock than anger because, as you said correctly, you go back to 72. I mean, that was Coach's first loss. Of course, the tie with USC 7-7 began kind of the run, but that was, 73. And so, yeah, you have to go back all the way there. So it was more of a stunner more than being angry. You know, it isn't supposed to be that way when you finish a game. You're supposed to go shower and go meet the guys and maybe the girls and have some fun.
Yeah, well, I guarantee you, Dean, it's been bad here the last few weeks. You lose to Kansas, it's going to be and they're better. They're good. I mean, I'm not saying they're not a good team, but just losing to Kansas, what's it, 17 in a row is right now, or 15 in a row, something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this has just got to be a massive game. Let's go around the country a little bit, Dean. What are your thoughts down in Fort Worth, OSU? I'm hearing from some very, very good sources that Spencer Sanders is not going to play.
You're kidding me.
Nope, he's got a bad shoulder. I guess he hurt his shoulder Sunday. He was really, really sore, but they thought, okay, he'll be okay. It has not come back as strongly as they would like. I think there's a chance they could shoot it up and he plays, but I'm just telling you, his shoulder is not very good.
How do you injure a shoulder on Sunday when you're a college football
he got
player?
hurt on Saturday. He played through it, and then Sunday he was really sore, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, that's a crushing blow.
No doubt.
You know, they can drop this game and come back and still make the championship game in the Big 12, and so maybe their big season hopes would remain alive. But you sure don't want to drop this one. I had them winning this one by 10 points, not because I don't respect TCU. I just love the defensive front for OSU. I know they're vulnerable on the back end, but look around, who isn't? TCU is going to score points against anyone, so they'll score some points, but it won't be a runaway train in terms of them going out and posting 60. So I imagine the defense, Jim, if that's the case, they will be in, you know, they're all aware that they have to play especially well and keep that number down from TCU to have a chance to win without him. But if he doesn't play, I don't give him much of a chance to win. Wow.
Wait. Al and I are just marveling at the job that Sonny Dykes has done. What are your thoughts on him?
Oh, my gosh. I didn't expect it. You know, I know Spike, go back to Pat Jones' days, and his daddy was just an all-timer down there, and I guess I just never felt that his son was coaching up to that level, and now he's passing his old man. God rest his soul. Yeah, Sonny's a tremendous offensive coach, and for him to be able to do with his chosen second-team quarterback, Chandler Morris was their starting quarterback. So for him to go transform his second-team quarterback from what we've seen in the past to what he is right now, he's leading the country in some categories. It's simply amazing. They are an offensive machine. They're not good enough defensively to probably win the conference or to go anywhere, but they're darn sure good enough offensively to win most every game. And if Spencer's out today, I would expect them to win this one.
Yeah. What about Alabama, Tennessee?
Well, that game, Jim, I'm having trouble with it.
Break when you're ready.
Really have trouble going against Tennessee right now because of just what Josh has incredibly done there. I mean, the place is jumping today. They're so fired up. But sometimes when you poke the bear, he does some pretty awful things to people. So on one hand, I think that Tennessee is going to put up quite a few points and possibly win this game. But on the other, I just have trouble with Alabama knowing that they had a quarterback that may not play or may not as good as he was, knowing that they have to make up for that in this game, and that they're just being challenged by Tennessee, whether it's fans or players talking. In the end, I have to go Bama, and I guess they do have Bryce Young at least starting. I don't know that he's close to 100% though.
Right, he's definitely going to play. Are you like Al and me, Josh? We think that we never thought Josh Heupel was going to be this good as a head coach. Did you feel that way too, Dean?
Yeah, I mean, normally a head coach has a degree of charisma that's necessary to get in the homes of these recruits and bring them around. And, you wouldn't have expected it from that standpoint. From an X and O standpoint, and from him being a player who overachieved, he's got all the other qualities that you look for in a head coach, except that charisma. And sometimes, I mean, heck, right now around here, Brent Venables could have won in a landslide governor a few weeks ago, and right now things aren't quite so good. Brent has the greatest personality you could ever have. So, personality is probably bigger to the fans than it is in reality. And he checks all the boxes elsewhere. And Jimmy and Allie's obviously communicating pretty darn well with the recruits that they're getting, but also the team. They are listening to him because he wins. How do you not listen to a guy like that?
And you know what? We don't give him enough credit for being a quarterback. Look what he did with Drew Lock in Missouri. I mean, Gabriel at Central Florida.
Yeah, no.
So,
Al, I got sidetracked in that answer. I was trying to get to the point of being the son of a coach.
Yes.
You know that in playing the position and not being a supremely gifted player, obviously you're really gifted to be a starter and to lead a team to a championship. But we know what I'm talking about. Josh wasn't an NFL guy, but he got by on being very, very accurate, but by outsmarting people. And he's doing that where he is right now, and a lot of that comes from being the son of a coach.
Yeah, he's smart. There's no doubt that he's smart. One last moment before we come back here. Michigan, undefeated. Penn State, undefeated. What are your thoughts on that? Michigan's played maybe the worst schedule in the entire country, but what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I can't say that I follow Penn State football that closely, but I give them a legitimate chance in this one. I have to see Michigan run out here and win this one by 2 touchdowns to be confident that they are the team that a lot of people think they are. I think he's got it more on track. I think he's now finally getting quarterbacks in there who can be playmakers and not just game managers. And I think that's really getting Harbaugh over the hump. So I would expect a tight fit and would not be surprised at all if Penn State wins, and would expect them to cover. What are they?
7-point favorite. Michigan's a 7-point favorite.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, Michigan, though, remember this year they got to go to the Horseshoe. They won at home last year, beat up on Ohio State. But I don't know. As Ohio State hadn't been tested, have they, Al?
No, and we're going to know more about Michigan today. If they go in and beat them by 2 or 3 touchdowns, go say, hey, they got a chance to beat Ohio State.
No, I agree. I totally agree with you. All right, Dino, down here, 3 losses in a row, homecoming, Kansas. You would think, you put all those things together, you would think that OU would put in a really good performance today, right?
It's really hard to not pick Oklahoma at home, and especially getting 9 or 10 from Kansas. But to be honest, I have to see it to believe it. I'm afraid that this defense is so sketchy on the fundamentals that'll be required today. Every play, 75 snaps, they have to be so much better than they've been, or Kansas will be able to take advantage of them as much as anybody out there has. So I just see Kansas scoring a bunch of points, and Oklahoma might score to be in this game and for it to be a fourth quarter game. But I can't. I picked Kansas to win this game.
What's mind-boggling to me is, and maybe I'm just an idiot, but I can't believe that these defensive players, are they not learning more every week? I mean, I would think that you would start to be better every week at learning what they're supposed to be doing, right, Dean? I mean, that's what life is about. One time you do it, then you do it again, you do it again.
Well, and then they tackled really well earlier.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden they can't tackle.
I know.
The angles they're taking, it's just horrific.
I told Al, Dean, that we all got duped, man, after Nebraska. You know what I'm saying? I mean, those first 3 games. Well,
Oh, yeah.
Remember, I'm saying, they look tougher and they're tackling better, and
Right.
it's not happening anymore.
Yeah. Well, I didn't jump anywhere close to that playoff discussion that was that people immediately leaped to. But at the same time, when they're 3-0 and on track, they what did they do? They were right at the point spread the first game, the second game. Then they had the big one there, and then it went south. Jim, they got problems. You can call it first-year problems. You can call it a first-year head coach problems. Whatever it is, the communication from the defensive coaches is not getting through to them. I have trouble putting everything on the players because they were good earlier this season, and they have enough guys that they've shown that they occasionally can do things really, really well. They're not the talented team that a lot of people thought going into the season, but still they're good enough. Something's amiss with the communication. I think there's overload. It's like too much pressure on them. I believe that whoever is out there that's saying that they're playing not to make mistakes, I think that is completely accurate. So it's a mess, and I hope today is the first step toward returning to a competitive level defensively that will give them a chance to win these games down the stretch.
Well, 2 things. I would think that they'd be learning more, and secondly, if there's too much pressure, they need to go somewhere else, because this is the University of Oklahoma. This isn't North Texas. It's not. I mean, this is pressure, Al. This is what OU's about,
That's exactly right. Totally agree.
I mean, I promise you, Dean, the players that they recruited and they didn't get that went to Alabama and these other places, you know what? They're playing, Dean. They're playing pressure and they're playing.
No, I understand that. My comment really, Jim, is more based on what I know the communication process and that there is an inborn. Brent Venables does so many things really, really well. One of them that does concern me and has always followed him is making late decisions and putting making things more complicated at times.
Yeah.
And I think that is a part of it. No, I understand the pressure part with the players, but I think they want to do so well. They love him. They love the coaches. They hate not playing any better, So I think it's from that standpoint and not the other.
Gotcha. Dino, thanks so much. We appreciate you.
See you, Dean.
Okay, take care, Big Al.
Dean Blevins, as usual, doing a great job. We appreciate him very, very much. It is countdown to kickoff, Bud Light Game Time. We're about 45 minutes away from kickoff. We're live from Historic Campus Corner in Norman in the RV General Store Sports Animal Mobile Studio. It's all driven by Eskridge Lexus. They encourage you to experience amazing at Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma City. When we get back, we will talk to Mr. Craig Humphreys and get his perspective. And, of course, Al and I will then wrap it up. We got a huge day for you, so no reason for you. Remember, I say it all the time, remember closely, we're the only station in all of Oklahoma that does pre- and post-game every OU game, every OSU game. That's what we do. That's why we're the best, the sports animal. We'll be back. Stay with us.
WLSFM, The Village, Oklahoma City, your home of the Oklahoma City Thunder. A Cumulus media station.
Craig's ready. Here we go.
Live from the RV General Store Sports Animal Mobile Studio in historic Campus Corner. It's countdown to kickoff with Bud Light Game Time. Driven by Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma City.
You're up.
Hey, we're back. Myself, Al Eschbach, and Jim Traber here on Campus Corner, Oklahoma, going against Kansas at 11 o'clock. Join us, Craig Humphreys. Craig, what a crazy year if I told you early in the year that, okay, Kansas, was going to beat Kansas, maybe go to a bowl game, and most of the local people around here are picking Kansas to beat Oklahoma.
No, it's absolutely crazy, Al. And for OU to come into this game at home thinking, well, if we really play well, we might be able to hang with Kansas. No, it's a different year. But I will say this for Oklahoma. The last time Dylan Gabriel played, they did have 550 yards against K-State. So I do think, the last 2 weeks, number one, they might have played the two best teams in the Big 12 the last 2 weeks. But the other thing, they're a whole lot better with Dylan Gabriel than without, right?
No doubt.
There's no doubt, yeah. And even though the defense has been the biggest problem, you really got to be concerned about all those high throws that he had, you know? I mean,
No question,
talked
Craig.
a lot about it with his, his footwork, the way he was stepping. You know, I watched it again.
Right.
He's not doing it. And all we heard about was what a great, how accurate he was, right, Al? I mean, that's what we heard about him.
Yeah.
So, and I watched him a couple times at Central Florida. I never saw balls floating around. So I want to see that today. I hope if he starts throwing the ball high, that could be a big problem for OU.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they would have won either of those games or covered either of those games with Dylan Gabriel. And you're right, Trey. Early against TCU, he was high. I'm just saying they had a bunch of opportunities. Remember when he went out of the game, it was like 34-10. But I thought at that time, OU should have had about 24 points on the board. They had that many wide open receivers early on against TCU.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think anybody has any faith in this Oklahoma defense right now, Greg.
No. How could you? I mean, 55 against TCU, 49 last week. The K-State game, they couldn't do anything to tackle Martinez in that game. So it just shows that the first three games were definitely a mirage. Now, today, they get the opportunity of going up against a second-team Kansas quarterback. But Jason Bean, that second-team quarterback, threw 4 touchdown passes just in the second half against TCU last week.
Yeah, it seems like I said this week. Seems like OU's the only team in the country that doesn't have a good backup. Unfortunately, Craig, it sounds as if we may find out how good the backup is for OSU because I'm hearing that there's a very small chance that Spencer Sanders is going to play today. Got a bad shoulder, Craig.
I heard you say that, Trey, and then I saw Reese Davis said, hey, keep an eye on the Oklahoma State offense when they come out on the field today to see if they're complete and so forth. So, well, obviously, guys, if they don't have Spencer Sanders, I think they got no shot to win in Fort Worth, and I think it could take away from their chance to go to the Big 12 title game because remember they got Texas coming in Stillwater next week.
No, they need him. I guess he's not out for sure, but again, it's one of those deals. You can shoot it up. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's what happens in sports. You can shoot it up. So I don't know for sure he's not going to play. I know for sure that he's not going to be 100%.
Well, the line's gone up.
And the line's going up. So, yeah, I think there's people in Vegas that think that he's not going to play.
What's that line up to now?
5.
TCU was favored by 4. Yeah,
it's up to 5.
Yeah.
And I don't know, by game time it might go even higher. I'm sure that people are working their tails off to find out whether he's going to play. If he comes out and doesn't throw, then I think the line will probably go to 6 or 7 would be my guess. Craig, I know you love talking about all the other national games. This Alabama-Tennessee game, obviously 2 undefeated teams. Alabama looks vulnerable. Looks like Bryce Young's going to play. Allen, I think Alabama's going to light Tennessee up. What are your thoughts?
Well, I hope not, because I'm going to lose a couple of pizzas. Because I told Mark yesterday I have a feeling that this 15-game losing streak to Saban and to Alabama is about to end. But obviously, I mean, it'd be a huge upset even for Tennessee to win at home. But, guys, the way I look at this, and Bryce Young, he probably is going to play, but the Alabama receivers, I mean, I'm not trying to show you guys up, but, I mean, can you just name a receiver? Because I couldn't. If you asked me an hour ago, who are the top Alabama wide receivers? Their names just don't come to mind, like Devontae Smith and Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy and Julio Jones, Jalen Waddle. I mean, they've been blessed with great receivers in recent years. You know, and they got receivers like Holden and Ja'Cory Brooks and Burton right now. But what I'm saying, these names just don't pop to mind. So I'm not sure if Alabama is as dominating offensively as we've seen them in the past. I know they're still a really good defense, but they've been tested twice. I thought Texas should have beat them, would have beat them with Ewers. They almost lost to A&M last week. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I just think maybe it's Tennessee's time today. So yesterday, Mark, he gave me 7. He gave me Tennessee in 7, and then we were talking about the Michigan game, and so he said, okay, I'll give you Tennessee straight up, and Michigan straight up, and he's taking Penn State and Alabama. He's probably figuring he's got a sure thing with Alabama, and maybe if Penn State could win on the road at Michigan. So I'm pulling for Michigan and Tennessee today in those two games.
Well, you are right about Alabama's wide receivers, but they got a running back that is unbelievable. This Gibbs kid, I mean, he is. You watch
Jahmyr
him?
Gibbs, the transfer.
Oh, my
yes.
gosh.
Yes.
Where he come from? Georgia Tech, I think. Is that where he came from?
No, he's really good, and he's also one of their leading receivers,
I know.
too. I mean, they throw it to him out of the backfield.
But you're right. You're right. Their skill position players are not what they've been. Now, Al, their skill position players have been the best in the country lately.
Well, and I remember the first game, when they played, they said in the spring they thought the problems at Alabama, receiver and defensive back, they didn't think they were near as good at both those positions.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
I'm not saying they don't have players, Trey, but I'm just saying in years past, we could just rattle off Devontae Smith, Amari Cooper. I mean, yeah.
I agree with you, Craig. And this game, to me, is going to show how good Alabama is, because this is the normal game that when Alabama's good, they roll in. Everybody's, look out for Tennessee. And they win they win the game like 42-20, right? And that kind of what they normally do?
That's what normally happens, yes.
So we'll see.
But I do have some respect for Tennessee. What they did in Baton Rouge, I know it's not a great LSU team, but that got my attention a little bit.
Tough place to play, yeah. What about Michigan? So you like Michigan to beat Penn State?
Yeah, and I know we don't know that much about Michigan yet, but I like what they did last year, and I think they're probably building off that from a year ago. McCarthy, I guess we'll really find out what he's all about today. I had Penn State in the opener against Purdue. I do have a lot of respect for that Penn State defense. I think that I'm not saying Michigan's going to win easy. I just like them at home.
Right. Well, I got to tell you, this game down in Fort Worth, I think, is really simple now. If Sanders plays, it's going to be a really good game. If he doesn't, they get beat.
Yeah, I mean it's absolutely. We talk about it all the time. You gotta. And we said, we'll see, are they in the same position OU is? And we're backup quarterback. I mean, we talk about all the other ones.
That's right. We may find out. What I do know is that there's a bunch of teams in the daggone Big 12 that their backup quarterbacks have played really well, including today.
Kansas, including Bean.
The Bean kid comes in and plays like he did. I think they're going to miss Daniels. I mean, Daniels runs better than he does.
You talked about what Bean did to TCU. Sanders should light that defense up.
Well, no doubt. No doubt, yeah.
That's right.
That's
right, Al. In OU's defense, trade like Bean was there last year. I mean, Bean started 9 or 10 games for him a year ago, so he's played a lot for him before.
No doubt. But you got Hudson Card, who played really well. You got the 3 guys at Texas Tech that have all played well.
No question.
I mean, there's backup quarter. Heck,
that Baron Morton, that Tech third-team quarterback was impressive, huh?
Hey, Duggan was the backup, right? I mean, Duggan wasn't the starter.
Chandler Morris.
He's one of the best players in the country now. All right, Craig. So, what are you picking down in Fort Worth?
Well, I was going to pick OSU, but now with what if Spencer Sanders does not play, I mean, you got to pick TCU by at least 10 points, something like
You
that.
would think so.
I would.
You
I
know-
think Sanders means that much to that team.
Well, even
I
if-
was going to pick OSU to win a close game.
But even if Sanders plays, I mean, how good is he going to be? You know, it's his throwing shoulder. So,
yeah,
I don't know, man. That's a tough break for OSU. It really is. I tell you what, they
huge
go down
one.
there and win with their second-team quarterback. That'll be one of the best wins that Mike Gundy's ever had.
No
Am I
doubt
right?
about that. Absolutely.
And I'll tell you what, if it's him and his son, I mean, what a story that would be. That would be psychotic. So, all right, Craig, this one here, nobody knows what the heck's going on. The line's up to 10 now, Craig. People are betting on OU.
Isn't that crazy?
I know.
Well, I will say, Kansas, this has been a great story, all right? But who have they actually beaten so far this year?
Well, they won at West Virginia. Baylor couldn't win
I
at
know,
West Virginia.
At West Virginia, I know. I know West. Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. At West Virginia might be their best win. Maybe it's Iowa State at home. They won a close one there. They beat Houston in a close one. I'm just saying it's been a great story, but it's not like they've beaten a really good team yet.
But you know what they're doing?
And
you know
it's
what
not
they're
like
doing,
I'm not
Craig?
saying Oklahoma's a really good team either.
Let me
obviously.
tell you, what they're doing, though, that they have Kansas has not done since Mangino, is that they're winning some when they are in a game, they're winning them.
Yes. No question.
Yeah, look at Duke. I mean, you're right. They haven't beaten great teams, but heck,
West Virginia and overtime.
West Virginia and overtime. I mean, yeah, they're winning the close games. So you got
And all
to
they
give them a
got
lot
to
of
do is
credit.
beat a bad team today. Yeah,
You're right.
playing
And OU's not
a
any
3-3
good.
team. Yeah.
I mean, this is
I'm just
crazy.
saying down the road, with at Baylor, OSU, even at Tech, Texas for sure. At Tech, I think it's going to get pretty tough for them as they go down the road. I'm not sure about.
If you think
today.
I'm picking Kansas to go 10-2, I'm not. I'm just
Yeah,
saying that
right.
when you play Kansas right now, you better bring your squad.
No question. Hey, I've watched most of those games. I got a lot of respect for what Leipold has done. I really do, and especially with Bean with a backup quarterback. No, they are definitely for real, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I do think that if Gabriel plays, Oklahoma should. I think they should roll up. At least 30, 35 points.
No doubt.
Oklahoma should move the ball. If they can't move the ball on this Kansas defense, they got real problems on the offensive side.
I totally agree. And the number one thing I'm going to look for Gabriel is he throwing the ball high, Al. I mean, I'm just can they get rid of that?
And it's he was having a really good season still going to the TCU game.
You're right.
And then he was bad against them. Really.
No,
bad
you're right. He missed a
against
couple
TCU.
balls against Kansas State,
So
but
you're right.
But he threw well. He had 390 yards.
He has to be the best quarterback on the field today.
That's a really good point. You're right. He's got to be better than Bean. And like you said, Bean played last year. Bean was the guy who almost beat OU last year.
That's right.
Craig?
Yeah, that's right. No, you're right. Well, and remember this TCU team, now defensively, they did shut out, Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams in the first half last year. OU came back and ended up winning by double digits. But no, they shut out OU first half a year ago.
Yeah, well, OU better score today. They better. All right, Craig, appreciate you very much. Thanks for coming on.
You bet, Trabe. See you, Al.
See you.
See you, Craig.
Just showing some of the quarterbacks we're watching on TV here. Al Dax, the Dax, what's his name? The Dart kid, Jackson Dart. He threw for 449 last week against Vanderbilt. Of course, Vanderbilt stinks, but he's starting to roll a little bit down there. They're showing this McCarthy. Have you seen it, Al? You got to watch this McCarthy kid play for Michigan, man. He's the real deal, man. This will be the best quarterback that maybe Harbaugh's had.
Yeah, if he's the real deal, then, again, they got a chance to win the Big Ten.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're exactly right. Well, Al, you got any final thoughts here today?
Oh, no.
I love it.
What we've seen, again, we're going back to that year, 1998. Oklahoma has not lost 4 straight games since 1998. The domination over Kansas. You got 2 things. I said Gabriel got to be the best quarterback on the field today because Oklahoma defense stinks. I mean, they can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. The pass defense. I want to see OU if Brent Venables defensively does something different because what they're doing now ain't working.
I'm going to bet you they don't.
That's a bad sign, isn't it?
Like I told you, Al, he is betting on the come. I don't agree with it, but that's what he's doing. He's saying, this is my offense. I've been the defense. I've been the number one defensive coordinator in the country for years, and this is what I run. I may not have all the players to do it right now, but we're going to learn this defense. And look, I'm not agreeing. I'm just saying what he's doing. I'm just saying what he's doing, and it could hurt him this year. I mean, if he rips off a 4-8 or something next year, he better play. They better be better.
No doubt.
That's all I'm saying.
No.
I mean, football has changed.
And then we talk about, well, you got a great recruiting class coming in, but it's obviously on defense. It's hard for freshmen to play in this defense.
Well, it sounds like they don't want to play any freshmen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nowadays, I guess all freshmen are dumb. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. This whole thing about the quarterback being on campus for 10 months and he can't get out there, it's mind-boggling.
I don't understand that either, Jim.
I mean, my gosh, let the kid play, see what he can do. I talk about this all the time. In my experience in sports, there's been people that are not as good in practice, but then they shine when the lights come on. I've also seen the opposite. They look great in practice, and they're not as good in the game. Let's see. I mean, let's see. I don't know. It's kind of mind-boggling, but whatever. They're the coaches. They know more than we do.
And I want to see if he uses different personnel on defense.
Well, last week he tried.
He tried.
Used a couple guys here and there. So Woody Washington playing safety now and all that. So I don't know. We'll see. So you got a score in this game?
I'll go OU 38-35. I don't feel good about the prediction.
I mean, I don't feel good about it either. But Kansas they're playing better. They're better right now. They're the better team.
They are.
I mean, my gosh. I mean,
what they've done this year compared to they've won the close games.
You're right.
Other
They
than
have.
TCU.
No, you're right. They have won the close games, right? Except the TCU game, and heck, they lost their starting quarterback and still hung in the game. So, anyway, good stuff today, Al. Appreciate you very much. You and I will be back on the air the minute this game ends. Let's go to my man, Mr.
What's your score?
I actually, believe it or not, I think OU is going to cover the spread because the spread is ridiculously stupid. Now people are betting OU out there. I got it at 9 when we made our bets yesterday, so I'll go. I think it's a shootout. I'm gonna go. I'll go 45-34 OU. But you know what? We picked OU and they've been losing, so they might lose again. I will tell you this: if they look bad today and they lose, I'm not picking OU the rest of the year. I'm done with them. Mr. Matt Meyer, tell us what's coming up.
We're going to hear from Brent Venables coming up next. Then the Sports Animal Top 10 with Preston Poole beginning at 11. He'll take you up until 12:30, keep you updated on OU Kansas, as well as Penn State Michigan, all the other big games going on. 12:30 today, 12:30, countdown to kickoff for Oklahoma State. Gideon Hamilton and Rashawn Woods are going to be at Lumpy's, which is at North 122nd and May. 122nd and May. That's where we're going to be before and after the OSU game with Gideon and Rashawn. So 12:30, countdown to kickoff for Oklahoma State. Then we'll have football feedback with you and Al immediately following the game on live from Campus Corner, the College Locker Room Show with Kerry Murdoch after football feedback, and that will take you up to football feedback for Oklahoma State, Gideon and Rashawn back at Lumpy's, 122nd and May.
Now, of course, we also have on our YouTube channel, the Sports Animal, and our website and our app, we've got the game day situation, right? With Sam Mays
with
and
Mark
Rogers.
and Sam. That's right. They're at the Noun Hotel, so check that out. It's a really cool concept, kind of similar to the Coach's Cabana concept a little bit the last few years that Coach Switzer and Coach Jones were a part of. Just kind of sitting around talking about the game. I think Mark and Sam kind of interact with people online. So, yeah, it's a fun deal. It's a good way to watch a game.
It'll be, I'll tell you what, you should all be glad that you're not listening to me during a game. I say things I probably shouldn't say. All right, very good. When we get back, it'll be Brent Venables. It's Countdown to Kickoff Bud Light Game Time live from historic Campus Corner in Norman in the RV General Store Sports Animal Mobile Studios. And it is all driven by Eskridge Lexus of Oklahoma City. Stay with us. A lot more coming up right here on the home of the Thunder, the Sports Animal.
Count.